Hello all YouTubers, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning back into this Tropical Storm Hanna discussion for July 24th, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, it would really be nice if you guys did hit that subscribe button. I really cannot believe that I hit 800 subscribers already, so thank you guys so much. And we're on our way to 900 and eventually, even more exciting, the big 1,000 subscribers. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as ringing the bell notifications so you will not miss my next video. Also, please do watch the whole video because this does help my channel grow significantly. So please do watch the whole video and liking and sharing this video as well. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. So today we are tracking Tropical Storm Hanna and how it could intensify pretty rapidly before landfall. All right, we already see it starting to intensify. We're not talking about like major hurricane intensification before landfall because it's almost about to make landfall in Texas. That'll occur about Saturday afternoon to Saturday evening, which is tomorrow. Well, right now it has sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. Okay, there's your orange area is where you have your tropical storm force winds right now. Moving west northwest at 9 miles an hour. It's going to make more of a west and eventually even southwest turn into Mexico. And it will be slowing down. Okay, and then that's going to be the main threat with this. All right, it's going to be the very heavy rainfall. Excuse me, but Texas, we're talking about Houston, near Galveston, down through Corpus Christi, Brownsville, Port Mansfield. Tropical storm warnings here have been issued. All right, so we could be seeing some tropical storm conditions. All right, anywhere shading that little blue, the blue region there. It could even be a tropical storm, even inland Texas. Then once it enters Mexico, it gets downgraded to a tropical depression. But notice, Monday morning, it's still sitting in the same general area. Even if the low pressure center is right here, we could still have rain in Texas. So the rain may not be done for days once the rain starts. All right, so looking at the exact strength, so according to the National Hurricane Center, it looks like at 8 Eastern time, we'll have winds of 50 miles an hour still. But look at this. Get a nice jump. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, we could have 65 mile per hour maximum winds and even wind gusts to hurricane force. 75 mile an hour wind gusts is possible. Even wind gusts to near hurricane force as it heads inland. Even as it's making landfall inland, still 60 mile an hour winds. Then 40 mile an hour winds 8 a.m. on the 26th. Okay, and then by 8 p.m. we could get down to 30 miles an hour, and that's post-tropical, then it's down to 15. Moves over those mountains there, Mexico is completely going to die off. But just know that even though the mountains do decrease the wind threat with the tropical cyclone, they certainly increase the rain threat. And rainfall is going to be a big problem here, especially with the mountainous terrain there in northern Mexico. But your greatest threat of tropical storm force winds looks like it's going to be south of Houston. So we're talking, Corpus Christi. We're talking southeast of San Antonio, Victoria, Corpus Christi, Brownsville. Even again, like I said earlier, Port Mansfield. Some areas that could be seeing some of the highest threats of wind here. And looks like the latest update actually does have a hurricane on the Texas coast. I guess this was just now refreshed. Okay, I must have refreshed the tab because it is now looking like it's going to be a hurricane. And there you go. We could have Hurricane Hanna now. There you go. Live updates courtesy of the Weather Dude. All right, so let's actually give this a refresh. We can see exactly how strong. And as you can see, yes, a hurricane watch has now been issued for the Texas coastline. Let's turn on track mode. All right, and here is Hurricane Hanna. There's 75 mile per hour wind with wind gusts to 90 miles per hour. So now that a hurricane is in the forecast by the National Hurricane Center, okay, please watch out from. Again, just south of Houston, we're talking about Victoria, Corpus Christi, Port Mansfield, Brownsville, on the line of this. And even if you're just outside the cone, okay, we could still see some impacts. So just know that. This could be our second hurricane. Well, one of the two, because Gonzalo could become a hurricane, but we'll have to watch that. Both of these storms are going to become very close because they're going to be very strong tropical storms, but they're going to become very close to being hurricanes. Okay, so now this map got an update too as well. So Brownsville, your chances for tropical storm force winds just increased. But again, Victoria down to Brownsville, there's your main threat. Let's refresh the storm surge map. Maybe it might have went up. But 2 to 4 feet of storm surge right between Sargent and Baffin Bay. Okay, so Baffin Bay, excuse me, Corpus Christi Bay, Capano Bay, Aransas Bay, San Antonio Bay, and Matagorda Bay, all 2 to 4 feet of storm surge as well. So that's where your highest threat of surge is going to be, because the storm's going to come on shore like this, and then you got your winds coming around that in the southeast or easterly direction, and that's where your surge is going to be coming from, up to about 4 feet, which is still a lot of water. All right. So now that the National Hurricane Center updated that map, got to give everything a nice little refresh. And rainfall. Now we'll see if that little red area makes its way on shore. For now, it looks like it's offshore, thankfully. But the easternmost points of South Texas here, we could see 10 to 15 inches. But that looks like it's offshore. Majorities, we do have widespread areas like just out Corpus Christi to Brownsville, where we could see 6 to 10 inches. Even well outside of that, even up towards Houston, even Galveston, we could still see 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. New Orleans, Biloxi, still 2 to 4 inches of rainfall we could be dealing with. Even through Mexico, 6 to 10. But again, with those mountains, it could make it a lot worse. Do we have storm surge watches or warnings? Yes, we do actually. We have a storm surge warning. Now, for Corpus Christi, all right, all the way up here through Victoria, just out there, Bay City, just out to Lake Jackson. Let's take a look at our flash flooding potential map. As you can see, I believe that just got upgraded as well. We have now a moderate threat. So this over the next 3 days. And as you can see, right there through Port Mansfield and Brownsville, Corpus Christi too, in that red. So moderate threat, but even a slight threat still, all the way to the Texas coast to Houston, Galveston, along the I-10 corridor, or just south of there through New Orleans, and even north of that, we still got a marginal flash flood threat over the next 3 days. But tomorrow being the main day of impacts. All right, let's go to our key messages. I'm sure those updated as well. Yeah, so there is a danger for life-threatening storm surge. Like I said, from Baffin Bay to Sargent, like I just said earlier, there's a storm surge warning. So please follow the advice given by your local emergency officials. Hurricane conditions are now expected again from Baffin Bay to Mesquite Bay. Hurricane warnings. I thought that said hurricane watch. I'm very sorry. It's hurricane warnings are in effect because that has the red color. So now hurricane warnings there from Baffin Bay to Mesquite. But even outside of that, all right, close to Houston, Galveston, down through Brownsville, we can still see tropical storm conditions, and they will reach the coast within the warned area by Saturday morning, and could last potentially until Sunday, even through the day, whole day Sunday. Hanna will produce very heavy rain across southern Texas and northeastern Mexico, and we can see life-threatening flash flooding and even river flooding. Keep in mind, the mountains don't really help either. Matter of fact, they make it worse. So those are your key takeaways there from the National Hurricane Center, your 3 key messages. Look at the wind probabilities. We should probably refresh that. Again, Saturday at 8 a.m., that's when your tropical storm force winds, your earliest reasonable time, and they can reach the coast. But most likely arrival doesn't look much different, actually. Actually, it looks the exact same, so they're pretty confident then. Oh, here's most likely. Okay, so Saturday at 2 p.m., or Saturday around high noon, maybe noon to 1 o'clock, is our most likely arrival time. But the earliest reasonable time is the one you always want to look at. That's when they can arrive. And that's Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. All right, so let's take a look at our ocean temperature anomalies. And in the central Gulf of Mexico, we have very average water temperatures. Not too warm, not too cool, pretty much where it should be. All right, although it does seem pretty warm, 30 degrees Celsius is very warm in terms of our ocean water temperatures, which is well into the upper 80s, which is plenty for the storm to develop in here. So again, here's tropical storm Hanna, wind gust passing 60 miles an hour right now, with sustained winds at 50 miles an hour. This looks like a very dangerous cyclone here. 999 millibars of pressure, and it's a very big storm too as well. I mean, looking at the satellite, it looks like it's about to hit the Texas coast already, and radius of circulation is 30 nautical miles. All right. So taking a look at the satellite imagery, you can see this probably isn't moving that fast, because you're gonna be thinking, okay, landfall is tomorrow afternoon, and you got the storm sitting right off the Texas coast, and we're already starting to see impacts here through eastern Texas to south central Louisiana. We're already starting to see impacts in south central Texas. We're seeing flare-ups of widespread thunderstorms. So, I mean, it's only going to get better for Hanna, and it's only going to get worse for the Texas coastline. Let's look at those aircraft recon observations. As you can see here, we did find some peak winds that got pretty close to about 50, maybe 52 miles per hour. So that's what the latest update says. And rainfall rates just over 15 millimeters an hour, which it doesn't seem like much, but like I said, it all depends. The hurricane hunters, and I mean, they try to fly throughout the entire storm, but it all depends where they fly through. I'm looking at the MSLP and flight level winds. As you can see, our lowest pressure here getting down to about 996. I get that about 997. So, but the pressure looks like it was observed at 999, but I think pressure could certainly be lower than that. So 15 millimeters of rain an hour. Kind of going back to this one here. That's still, I mean, well over a half an inch of rain an hour, and that's enough to cause problems. But you'll see in the MSLP later that the rainfall rates will get much higher than that. So looking at our current low position, for you people that like the exact coordinates, we got just about 94 degrees west and about 27.5 degrees north. Those are your coordinates. Let's take a look at some of the tracking guidance. As you can see, all the guidance agrees, taking it right into southern Texas, right through Port Mansfield. It's kind of hard not to say that anymore. And a lot, I mean, 90%, 95% of the models take this right into northern Mexico, as you can see here. Okay, I mean, like I said, it's not kind of hard not to say it at this point because of the confidence that we have. But you can, when the models agree, that's when you know the track, and that's when you guys. I mean, hopefully you guys have made your preparations already. Because if you haven't, I would start now because, well, I mean, I usually say it's not too late, but the storm's gonna be coming on shore tomorrow afternoon. Looking at the pressure, as you can see, dropping pressure, even at landfall, maybe even after landfall, maybe maintain the same amount of pressure. Let's give us a little refresh, see if we got. Nope. So it looks like this is taking right into northern Mexico, and maybe at the Pacific side. We'll see how much of it can hold together. Maybe it'll become a Pacific storm, kind of like vice versa, how Amanda came into the Atlantic and became a tropical disturbance there. So we'll see about that. Let's look at some of the GEPS tracks here, and as you can see, dropping pressure potentially below 990 millibars right at landfall, right there in South Central Texas. Although the GEPS tracks definitely do take this a little bit farther north, so Houston, Galveston will get impacted a lot more. But still, Corpus Christi, Port Mansfield, Brownsville, Victoria, you're all in the line to get hit by this. Let's take a look at the intensity guidance now with Hanna. All right, looks like we're still getting some updates here. Again, a lot of the models take it to either a very strong tropical storm or a very weak Category 1. A lot of the models do agree on that, but as fast as it strengthens, it's going to weaken. Because once it goes on shore, it's going to start weakening at a pretty rapid rate, especially as it moves through Mexico, because Mexico, when you got a storm that moves over the Mexican mountains, okay, there's some big mountains there, and it's going to really tear that storm apart. Here's the MSLP, and like I told you earlier, 15 millimeters of rain per hour is what the hurricane hunters picked up, and that is certainly what we're seeing as you look at the GFS model here, but it could certainly get a lot worse than that. So take a look at right now. This is around 2 p.m. Some pretty dark reds here, so we're talking about 24 to 30 millimeters of rain per hour. That's what this is telling you, the rainfall rate. That represents about 1 to 1.2 inches of rain per hour right there. All right, seeing at 1,004 millibars of pressure here. We'll get into the wind as well. But look how heavy the rainfall gets. The rainfall rate could be passing 40 millimeters an hour. We're talking about potentially more than 1.5 to even 1.75 inches of rain per hour, which is a very heavy rainfall rate. Look at the pressure going down to 995. Oh, but it gets better. I mean, worse. Getting on shore at 991 millibars of pressure, still keeping the same, about 20 to 24 millimeter an hour rainfall rates. Then moves right through Mexico, and very heavy rain continues. It will be staying over Mexico potentially for several hours, if not close to days. How about the surface winds? Tropical storm now. Upon landfall, we could be seeing, who knows, maybe 60, 65 mile per hour winds here. That's with 50 knots, about 60 miles an hour. So pretty close. That's the full resolution surface wind with the GFS model, but then the low kind of drops into Mexico, and then it kind of starts to weaken. Now, how's it going to look on satellite? Again, it's in the future. We're going to the future. It's going to be a blurry satellite. That's how it is. So look at this huge area of convection. I should circle it like 20 times for you guys. That is a large area of red and just black and gray, which is that's a lot of convection coming into South Central Texas. This is why you need to prepare now. Okay, keep it here to the Weather Dude for updates because Hanna is definitely going to be a vicious storm here. We're not talking about Category 5 monster to those of you that might have just joined, but still, a weak Category 1 is nothing to mess around with per se either. We still could even after landfall, look at these intense tropical storm bands that look like they could be maintaining its strength even after landfall. But look at the rainfall of the GFS model. 6+ inches, we're talking about 6 to 10 inches right on the coastline from I'd say Corpus Christi, Port Mansfield, and Brownsville. Those are the 3 locations here I'm going to keep mentioning. But even southwestern Louisiana, still 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. But your bullseye definitely going to be extreme southern coast of Texas and just offshore Texas. That's where you see your heaviest rainfall amounts. Now, that was the GFS model. Now, before I move to the Canadian model, I'm going to take a look at ship's diagnostic message for this real quick. As you can see, ocean water definitely going to be maintained at 29, even up to 30 degrees Celsius, which is plenty warm enough. How about that wind shear? Wind shear is weak now, but notice how it strengthens and kind of stays there. Could even drop a little bit even after, say, landfall. All right, but even like right here, after a couple days, after a few days, that's when it kind of, it's way after landfall, it's kind of falling apart. But wind shear wouldn't be too bad at most. Maybe get up towards 28 miles an hour wind shear, but that's not too bad. But the heat content is on right now, 40 to 50. But then it'll drop off once it goes on land. And storm speed will be slowing down from about 10 miles an hour to most likely around 7. So we'll be slowing down a little bit. Now, actually, sorry, I meant to say I was going to use the Canadian model first. I forgot. It's actually the NAM model. Because when the storm is this close to the United States, I have to use the NAM model because it's more high resolution. You get more detail. You get by the hour forecast changes here. So you can see we're looping every hour now as opposed to 6 hours, which is definitely a lot more helpful. But here's the NAM model. The storm comes right on shore here. You got your nice tropical storm bands. You got your spotty areas of heavier rain. Nice tropical storm coming on shore. Going down below 1,000 millibars, which is already below 1,000 millibars. All right. And then eventually dropping towards Mexico and weakening as it does so. Now, cyclonic vorticity signature, this is what I'm worried about. Look how much you could be seeing look at this intensification. Those darker reds, even not close to blacks, they're going to be coming in that weren't there when the loop started. This is where the loop started from, right about here. Notice how it's just very dark orange, like a blood orange, and a very, moderate red. And once it comes on shore, look at this. Look at this huge band of cyclonic energy we had. This very strong band right there. All right, and that's going to be dangerous for when wherever the band happens to travel over, which now looks like Port Mansfield, Corpus Christi, and Victoria. Looks like those areas. And it will be holding after landfall. We're still going to be seeing that cyclonic energy drift all the way down, and Mexico could be in line for some very dangerous stuff here. As you can see, right through northern Mexico, that intense cyclonic energy, which is, basically just top of the graph, if not higher than that. Then everything dies and drops into Mexico. It doesn't just disappear. It's because the NAM model can't go a certain point. They can't go too far south. So that's why it kind of cuts off there. It usually tries to focus in on the United States, which is the NAM model does. Looking at the surface wind, now that cyclonic energy is going to lead to some enhanced surface wind. And definitely that's going to be the case. Definitely winds could get well over 45 knots, 50, 60 miles an hour upon landfall here. And we'll be maintaining that, at least some 40-mile-an-hour winds even after landfall. Now, total accumulated precipitation, if we go to 84 hours here through the next few days, obviously it doesn't go up far enough, so I can't compare it to the GFS. But still, 6 to 10 inches of rain, and this time it's well inland as well, not just on the coastline. So NAM model definitely has a worst-case scenario here in terms of rainfall and even wind. So I'll hopefully be able to update this for you guys. Tropical Storm Hanna, possibly Hurricane Hanna. It's going to be definitely a dangerous storm that one we're going to have to watch. So please watch my other 2 uploads today. Depending on when you're watching this video, they may not be out yet, but they will be premiering. I will be tracking Gonzalo as well as Invest 92L recently developed. So thank you guys for watching today's video. I'm the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time, catch you guys next video.